This is Reynolds Podcast, The Creative Mindset.
Hi everyone, welcome to The Creative Mindset, a podcast about what the future holds at the intersection of creativity and technology. I am Ray Namoto, the founding partner of IANCO, a global innovation firm based in New York, Tokyo, and Singapore. Today's guest is Merlee Jayme, one of the very few creative leaders from Asia recognized on the global stage and the founder of Misfits Camp, as well as Jayme HQ in the Philippines. In this episode, we dive into the turning point in her career, which came only 2 years ago when she realized that one of her young relatives had autism. That then led her to start what's called Misfits Camp. So let's get started. All right, so let's go to the next topic, which is specifically the turning point. And this may not be a singular conversation. You may have had multiple turning points.
So as you've said, there's many. It could be when I started my agency the first time, or when I accepted a global role and I felt so like not a fit, but I accepted it because I wanted to learn more, etc. Maybe the biggest is after 35 years in advertising, what do? You have a choice to walk away, which I did. I was like a blank page. What would you do? And I'm not the person who probably just spend my money and travel the world and do something no. I wanted to do something meaningful and something that I could be busy with and yet love what I do. What was it? I was always discovering talent, creative talent. I love mentoring creative talent. I used to teach as a professor in creative writing in a university. So I love teaching. I love mentoring. I love looking for talent. And then I saw a nephew of mine at 12. He could design games. But the challenge was he was in the autism spectrum. And his games that he was developing were just as good as the floor in Dentsu in Tokyo, where the young creatives are designing games. I feel like maybe something here. So I went back to school, studied neurodiversity, autism as a specific subject, and I learned that 80% of them are really creative. So I told my husband, again, this is it. I go I don't know, you'll find me weird. I said, Timmy, I told this case, what if I come up with a training center? Here in the Philippines, we have special schools for children with autism, with all the neurodiverse disorders, but up until 10 years old, 12 years old. What happens when they grow up? Where are they? Apparently, there's nowhere to go. Nowhere. No future whatsoever. So what if we come up with a training center after school? Let's say they're around 19, 20. We require that age because I don't want to teach life skills. I just want them get them from school so they know, they follow, they know directions. And train them to have an opportunity to be hired in our creative industry. So have a future, have a possibility of career. That's a nice one. Go. But I go where do I get my students? Where do I get my... I have no idea because this is a stigma. Mothers don't post their children with autism or else they're very afraid to be judged, afraid to be bullied and whatever. So how do you get them? So, it started the hard ways. He said, build it, they will come.
Yeah, we were talking about the Misfits Camp.
Yes. So we built it. It's a small rooms in the middle of the city so that it's easy to get into. And then one after the other, I discover a name or so. I reached out to the parent, thinks I'm a scammer. They would, who's this calling us? There's some things, it was so difficult. But fast forward to today, it's already 2 years. I have 40 of them, 40 bright kids, very high performing. 80% are autistic, 20% ADHD. It's something that I wouldn't dream not doing if you ask me now. So probably that's the biggest turning point was, will I do that? I don't know if it'll succeed or not. But apparently it's, someone told me, you've been doing purpose telling with your ads in the past. Now you're purpose doing.
Yeah.
The ultimate goal is purpose living.
Yeah.
But doing is fine.
Yeah.
At least I'm doing something that is purposeful. It's not like words, just saying it. It's actually action.
Yeah. When you say neurodiversity, Can you give us a simple definition of what neurodiversity is?
Yes. So neuro means brain. Diversity means different.
Yeah.
So these are differently wired brains. So if you say, for example, you're dyslexic is a neurodiversity disorder. Dyslexic, your brain is wired that is having difficulty identifying words and spelling. There are a lot of people with dyslexia. Tom Cruise had dyslexia.
Yeah.
Also, let's say ADHD, attention hyperactivity disorder. So you cannot focus.
Yeah.
Or you have Tourette syndrome. Your brain and your nervous system work together, so you have tics. So there are several. And then, of course, autism spectrum disorder is like a disorder where there's differences in the way your brain focuses. Actually, they don't have a specific description of it, but it is how differences are amongst brains. That's how autism works. And then you have mental health disorder affecting your moods and behavior. You have your bipolar, anxiety attacks, depression. And they also have dyscalculia, brain that have disorders on looking at numbers. So they're different. It's simply, there's no two brains alike, but these are really wired way different from us. Neurotypical, as they call it.
So it's actually the way people are wired.
Yeah.
That's different.
That's different.
Yeah. But I guess on the flip side, and something that you touched upon a little bit, the fact that they're wired differently might give them challenges. But what are some superpowers that you've noticed that they have?
Yeah. So this is where my excitement came in. When I was working on it, for example, you are dyslexic. You cannot read words and spelling. Oh my gosh, your visual thinking is so heightened. Because you cannot write and read well. Everything is drawn differently. Everything is visual. So you can see some creatives who are more visual. The way they make stories and tell stories are all visual.
Yeah.
Not necessarily written storytelling.
Yeah.
Or you have your ADHD. It's a series of inattention, impulsivity. So here, oh my God, the mind is so energetic. They come up with 100 ideas in a minute. Okay. The autism spectrum has a memory that is 100% memory and fine details. So their eye can see details. They could see something in you, which you can't. I mean, sometimes they meet you the first time a year ago. They know exactly what you wore on that day.
Wow.
This is like something else.
Yeah.
And then, so if you work with all of them, they have several levels.
Yeah.
So one could be very perfect with colors. One is just black and white.
Yeah.
So in creative language, you can see the differences. For me, those people with mental health, bipolar, depression, and anxiety attacks, these are the insightful ones. They think so deeply. So when you give them a brief, they dig deep into feelings, and the way they write is something else, as if their experiences come out really well.
Yeah.
You know, when you compare a writer who hasn't experienced anything in life and was just, a rich kid, let's say, versus someone who digs deep into how people feel, these are very different ones. So it excites me to discover. So it's always like 15 sessions of discovery first of an assessment of what their talents are. And then after that, we only zero in into one. This is not a school. We zero in into one talent, and then we push that super in different ways so that they could be hired for just that talent. I have one with autism who can edit videos with such precision that, let's say, a 2-minute or to a 30-second or to a 15-second, I go like, E.g., this looks long, miss. That's exactly 15 seconds. Because I could see everything into the edit, yet it's 15s. I'm asking for a 15s.
Yeah.
It's really up to us to discover it really well and train it to a level where it's hireable.
Oh, wow. So they have those superpowers. Heightened sensibility. So, but I guess finding those superpowers or finding that talent, it may not be obvious at the beginning. Is it sort of a random chance that you discover that talent? Or, you say 15 sessions or 15 steps that you go through.
So even if they don't write, we make them write.
Yeah.
Even if they don't
Oh, I see.
make them draw. So we even came up with a handbook of different levels of exercises.
I see.
So I measure their sensory skills on coloring, on how they, because some with autism couldn't handle holding crayons or pencils. So even their sensory motor skills is being evaluated
Yeah.
in every
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And then we discovered it.
I see.
Yeah, we call on their parents and show them what they've done. And this is a cry session because usually parents don't know what they're capable of.
Right. Yeah, so these 15 evaluations that you go through to find what their superpower is, basically.
Yes.
But it sounds like this was your encounter with your 12-year-old nephew.
Yes.
Yeah, who was very
skillful
making games.
Yes.
Yeah, but also he had autism, and
yes,
that comes with some challenges, learning challenges and things like that. And then so starting this place but I guess these individuals, so you're helping them find a career path. Is that, or the beginning of their career path?
Yeah.
Yeah. So are they like in their teens, early 30s? What's sort of the...
No. So I accept them on my website. I put 21 and above. They have the maturity first to have life skills. They can go, they can go to the place, maybe commute, maybe, I don't have to teach life skills because when I studied autism, that is the major thing when they're growing up.
Yeah.
So the second one is they don't have socials. They don't have friends. So this place have given them a safe space to have friends. And then the third would be they have a talent, a creative talent. So they go through 15 sessions of assessing what that talent is. I've encountered some who are good in numbers, so it's not for the Misfits Camp. I partnered with other organizations that, train and put disabled people into different jobs. So I go like, I have neurodiverse people who are not creative. Can you help me look for a job for them? And then they would. And then they find creative ones, they would send them to me. So I'm trying to come up with a community where we also help each other if I cannot, let's say, train some people because they have different levels of neurodiversity. Some cannot really work in a workplace. Some right now I have two ways. One is a workplace who I'm training. The other one is commissioned work. So maybe freelance work. So because some are really skilled, but they cannot talk or
I see.
They cannot, you have to have a different way of giving them directions. So
yeah.
I don't think they would be able to survive in an actual workplace.
Yeah.
When I see some of my divergent creatives, high performing ones, and I ask their parents, what did you do right? They speak perfect English. Okay? Because early on, when we could sense there was something wrong, we had them diagnosed right away. No delay. What you call that? No denial stage. Okay? Because usually parents are in denial. And parents who are in denial and let their kids grow up, it's a bit too late to really help them out. They wouldn't speak, it becomes harder, okay, and harder to manage. But when they are early detection and they go to the right therapist or the right schooling or the right support group, they end up to be more, the possibility for them to be in a normal space or to get good in a job or to even have a career becomes bigger possibilities. As a mom, or a dad, you have a gut feel. If you feel that there is a possibility, even if it's ADHD, not inattention, whatever, there's no reason not to have it diagnosed, because the only reason why we have more now is because more are diagnosed. In our past, when we were growing up, there was no diagnosis such a...
It wasn't a thing.
Yeah, so we feel, I think when they grow up, they find out there's something. So there's a lot of autism and ADHD diagnosis when they were adults already.
Right.
Because they feel there's something wrong. I couldn't make myself sociable. I don't have friends. I'm already 35. All those things. And there is something. And when they get diagnosed today, they learn that they have an overlap of autism and ADHD, let's say.
You being interested in neurodiversity,
Yeah.
that was a new learning opportunity that was very different from anything else that you did prior to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess there was the common topic of creativity, you being a creative in your career, professional career, having a certain kind of creativity, maybe different from yours, but a certain kind of creativity.
Yeah.
And your interest in that topic and learning more.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm always on the lookout of where we can bring creativity and make it thrive. In an era of AI, there's always been the question, right?
Yeah.
It may not be the answer you're looking for, but it is a way of making creativity thrive.
Yeah. Yeah. And more recently, in addition to Misfits Camp, you're also starting your own agency again.
Yes.
Yeah. But with I guess some of these quote unquote misfits.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I did was, there are some graduates, I may call graduates of the Misfits Camp, and then some other agencies want to hire them, but I'm not sure. I want to make sure they don't get traumatized. I want to sort of make them have a place where they could imbibe workplace and feel safe. Like the first step. And I want to create, let's say, an accommodation manual for them before I head them, okay, before I give you over to TBWA, let's say. I want to be sure.
Yeah.
Because
sure,
these
sure,
people, once they get traumatized, you're back to square one.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so
wow.
I want to be sure. So coming up with an agency after 2 years of that.
Right.
Also,
Right.
obstacle number one, which is a glaring one, is sustainability.
Yeah.
You can't always depend on donations. It is a nonprofit, donations and grants, which is the hardest for me to deal with. So I felt someone told me, an expert told me, why don't you create a social enterprise agency where the purpose is to fund the Misfits Camp?
Yeah.
And at the same time, Misfits Camp trains graduates that moves to JHQ that we can help, survive a workplace. And then that's a step also to move out.
Yeah.
So it's really like you have this supportive circular kind of growth model where it helps each other.
Sure.
So I got an expert from Hong Kong who explained to me what I could do. And I said, oh my gosh, it's not exactly like putting up another agency just for the sake of. It's really like it needs to help the other one.
Yeah, it's a virtuous cycle between the camp and the agency.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you also attract talent who is willing to be helpful and sometimes lecture in the other room. So if
I see.
Come to visit us, the right side is the Misfits Camp,
Yeah.
the left side is PHQ. It's just beside each other.
I see.
So you can move.
Yeah, they're somewhat codependent on each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both you and I work in an industry that is probably filled with these misfits one way or another. Whether they are aware of it or not, I do think that there are a lot of us. Maybe I'm to some extent, I don't know what extent, both of us perhaps. I was in a room with other creative directors, CCOs, and many of them probably are on some spectrum, but we didn't know. There was no system to find out. There was no system to train. Many of us may have had a lot of different challenges, but just had to kind of work our way through. I guess this is probably my last question. The creative industry benefits perhaps from these differently wired individuals, but we never had any official system or process to embrace them. In fact, it's a really, really brutal industry in that way. We work long hours. There's no official training program. So what advice do you have for companies to be able to let these neurodivergent individuals succeed?
That's a tough question, but I know, I know. I read this book. Melvin Mangada gave me this book. It's such a beautiful book that great minds think unalike. In that book, the foreword, who wrote the book was a creative director of Gray. And he said he was in a creative council in New York, and one look at the room filled with creative directors from different countries, he could tell everyone was neurodiverse. Okay? So you're right in that sense. I felt I had ADHD. I had myself diagnosed. there is a kind of neurodiversity where it's acquired. It may be from a trauma, it may be from an accident, and you get to be neurodivergent.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, and I felt I was acquired because they said ADHD is inborn. But with your case, because of COVID, and I had global role, and you can imagine how hard it was to do Zoom calls after Zoom calls of different
Yeah.
topics. I got burned out, and he felt there is an acquired neurodiversity.
Mm.
So, having said that, looking back, I had some creatives who I knew they were neurodivergent,
Yeah.
but there was no one who was equipped with the education
Mm-hmm.
of what it is. Even HR didn't have the education of what it is
Yeah.
and what to do. So they end up being fired.
Yeah.
Because ADHD is your lazy creative. Your creatives who cannot start the work, cannot finish on time, cannot meet deadlines. These are your creatives who have ADHD,
Yeah.
who sleeps on the job literally because of their meds. So I felt the first thing to do really is to have an education of that, which
Yeah.
we are designing because my partner organization has designed a training education module for companies, which is usually our clients like Nestle, P&G,
Mm.
but no one has touched the creative industry. And I told him, why? When the creative industry, most of the people there are neurodivergent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just that no one bothers to check.
Yeah.
So he goes, because I'm not creative and I don't know how to create that module for HR. So what we're doing now is we're designing this training module together because I've been to creative shops,
Yeah.
and try to create something that would teach how to embrace it, how to first identify, make sure, identify if your creatives or people in your agency are neurodiverse. What is the diagnosis and how do you deal with each diagnosis? Because it's hard. When we start somewhere like that, education, I feel there will be steps and processes, at least in hiring, evaluations, in mentoring,
Yeah.
in all this creating partner teams and whatever. You will make sure that it helps.
Yeah.
So I think you really start into with that.
Yeah.
Because not knowing what you don't know, you don't know, right? So
Yeah,
you can't blame everyone now.
Yeah.
They will seem to you like different people who have attitudes.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're actually just wired differently.
Yeah.
And you have to understand how to, let's say, mentor them or inspire them, motivate them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that could be a beginning of a new phase of the creative industry because, like I said, there was never an official or a conscious way of working with neurodiverse people. Many of us may be different degrees and different spectrum of neurodiversity, but we benefit the creative industry and the clients that people work with. They benefit also from neurodiverse people, yet it's never been an official or systematic way of embracing and working with them for the benefit of the business.
That's true.
Yeah.
When you say spectrum, I also made this mistake in the beginning. You think it's a straight line.
Okay.
On the left is the more autistic person, on the right is the less. It's not that way. It's a circle. And autism has different factors. Is it motor skills, senses?
Oh, I see.
Let's say verbal, nonverbal. So whoever they lean towards, they may be nonverbal. It's like a graph, a nonverbal, but let's say have very big memory or has sensory problems, but it's like that. I liken it to our creative circle. Like sometimes you have a circle and then do you gravitate more to writing, drawing, to music? Your artistic circles is also a spectrum. So we sort of like try to match that because otherwise you will not understand. You'll think, is he more autistic than this? That's so vague.
Right.
We try to understand also how their spectrum works.
Right.
And once you do that, you'll be amazed.
It's not a linear spectrum. It's a multidimensional spectrum. Yeah.
Yes.
So that was part 2 of my conversation with Merlee Jayme, an internationally recognized creative leader from the Philippines and the founder of Misfits Camp. Today's topic was neurodiversity. This topic was not premeditated before recording my conversation with her. On the spot, I asked her what was the turning point in her career, and to my surprise, she brought up something that was actually quite recent. I expected for her to say something that happened, say, 20 years ago or even longer than that, perhaps when she started her own agency or perhaps when she got into this industry. But then instead, she cited this encounter and the realization that she had when observing one of her young relatives and realized that this teenage child was autistic and has autism. That motivated her to understand this relative of hers better, and she enrolled in the program that taught neurodiversity. She then spent a year or so trying to academically understand what neurodiversity is, and then learned that people who have autism or dyslexia or other types of what is considered mental disabilities are in fact, they're not necessarily disabled, but rather they're just wired differently. Both Merlee and I have been working in the creative industry for the past couple of decades or so, obviously in different corners of the world. And I've come across quite a few people who might be different from each other. Over 25 years ago, when I got into this industry, what I didn't realize was how this industry, the creative industry, is filled with eccentric people. Some people were crazy, some people were obnoxious, some people were brilliant, but also unexpected. And everybody was just so different that even though I didn't know where to fit in, it was okay to be different. And because everybody was different, everybody somehow fit in. Talking to Merlee, what I realized was that this topic of neurodiversity is something that has not really been talked about that explicitly, particularly in the creative industry. What I now realize is that the eccentricity of the industry and the people who work in this industry may actually be because of neurodiversity and the neurodivergent people that work in the creative industry. In many ways, the fact that many of us may be wired differently does explain the differences that we all have working in the creative capacity and using our talent to make something. The main takeaway from my conversation with Merlee is the following: great minds think unlike. That's the power of Misfits. If you like our podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, there's a Q&A field, so please do send us your questions and comments. We'd be so grateful. I'm Ray Namoro, and this is The Creative Mindset. See you next time.